All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live session, another Edugo live session that we entitled How to Grow Your Online Language Business. My name is Giorgio Morochica, and I'm going to be your host for this live session. In this session, who is this for? Why you should watch, and what we're going to talk about in this session. You should watch this tips of how you can launch and grow your online language business. And I'm going to have a guest that is going to share her own experience and how she did it with Edugo. Who is this session for? If you're a language teacher entrepreneur and you want to launch your own language business, then this session is for you. And as I mentioned, what we're going to give a lot of tips and tips that our guest is going to share. So let me invite our guest. So our guest today is Martina. Hello, Martina. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. What about you?
I'm good. As I was mentioning to our audience who is watching or who is going to watch this live, you are our brand ambassador, and you also founder of your own online language school, Martina la Italiana. Uh, so as I was mentioning also, what we're going to talk several topics about in this session. We're going to start how to grow your on Instagram your audience and launch your online language business, and you're going to share a little bit of your experience. Then we're also going to talk what is it like for you in this case to be a brand ambassador for Edugo, but also the benefits for you as a teacher, as a solo teacher, and for the students using our white label platform to run your language business. And then we're gonna have a small session which we call Teacher in Action. You're gonna share a little bit of tips on how you actually use the platform to create content for your students. At the end, we're going to have a Q&A session. So for whoever has questions, please stay with us, bear with us till the end of the session, which is gonna be no more than 30, 40 minutes. And if you have questions, we'll be happy to answer either me or Martina, according to whom you want to address the question. So without further ado and without me talking too much, Martina, shall we start with you? Maybe introduce a little bit yourself for people who are going to watch or who are watching this live session on YouTube.
Sure, yeah. My name is Martina. I'm from Italy and I've been living in Mexico. So I teach Italian to Spanish speaking people in Spanish. I have a platform on Instagram. I have 100,000 followers. So I mostly teach to them through reels, short videos, and some posts sometimes.
Martina, that's great. Thank you very much. Maybe let's do a step backwards because before we go forward. So, would you mind sharing a little bit what is your first steps into the language teaching business? How did you start? Why did you start even to teach languages? And
Sure. I've always loved languages, so I started by learning. I learned Spanish, and then I noticed that it was very easy for me to learn because my first language is Italian, and I started teaching Italian here in Mexico. So my students, of course, were Spanish speakers, and I noticed that they had some doubts that I could solve because I learned their language first. So I kind of knew when they made a mistake, where it was coming from. I could correct it knowing exactly why they were making that mistake and what they were thinking in their own language. What was the reason they were making that mistake, or what the doubts they had were. So that's how I started. And then I noticed that, of course, on social media, you can reach so many people. So I thought that was a great opportunity for me to reach more people and to teach to more people. And also, maybe you have never thought of learning Italian, but then you see it so similar to your own language and then you get interested. And that's what started happening with my platform. So that's how I kept doing it.
do you want to share a little bit what was what was those mistakes that Spanish native speakers were doing, and you kind of like those patterns you're noticing over and over? I'm just curious.
Sure. Yeah, I can make one example. There's many, but there's a lot of words that are very similar. So we have a lot of false friends, which of course you also have with English, but with Spanish it's more because some words you write exactly the same, like caldo, which means hot in Italian, but it means broth in Spanish. So those things, for example, or also how to differentiate between the verbs essere and stare, which in Italian are a bit different than ser y estar in Spanish. So all those things, you can kind of understand why people make that mistake or in which context they would use it, and you can explain starting from there how you would use it differently in Italian.
Was it then you kind of started to create content and use social media? What was the realization? What prompted you to start leveraging social media too? And was it intentional that you wanted to build a community, or what is the process like for you? Because it's different for according to the teacher. You know, some just want to create content and teach just via Instagram. Some others have more like bigger, longer plans. What is it for you? Do you want to share a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. It was, I mean, intentional in the sense that I love teaching, but it was new for me. So I had never taught through videos. At the beginning, it was a bit awkward. I didn't really know what to do in front of the camera. You're kind of scared of showing your face as well, or what people could say. But then I noticed that I had a lot of positive feedback and people were really interested and they had a lot of questions. So I kind of, used those questions to create new content and kind of listen to what people were wanting to learn. And I think I really liked it. I really like the kind of interaction you can have and how many people you can reach. So it was intentional up to a point, and then I just liked what I was doing and I just kept doing it.
What so it was like a rolling realization that okay, social media is has the potential, and you start to give value, build community, teach your students, and then they start asking you questions. How did you transition? Because I remember like first time when we contacted you, you had the like 50,000 around 15,000
Mhm.
followers, and then you really grow, had the experience of very massive growth. Right now you have around
Right.
100K followers. Would you like to share some tips on how you started, like what kind of content you posted, and how did you tweak the content creation, content sharing process? What worked for you at the beginning? What you changed? Some of those tips for teachers who are listening now and want to leverage Instagram or other social media platform that you use to grow. What those tips would be?
Sure. Yeah, I feel like my public at the beginning was very young. So they were really used to TikTok, for example. So, like short videos. So I started doing more of that and I saw that it worked very well. Also, I think when you teach, you kind of have in your mind this scheme, right? Like the book says you have to teach first this and then this and then this. But I felt like if I stuck to that, sometimes maybe I wasn't really teaching what people wanted to learn. Maybe they can just learn that on the book. So I realized that I have to teach something that you cannot find somewhere else or you cannot understand if you just read it. So I just kind of started listening to what people were wanting to learn. I think that's very important, not to focus too much on what you think you should do, but on what really people are asking. So maybe you have a plan already, someone asks a question, and you just, respond to that question because that's what they want to learn in that moment. Also, I made videos that are very different. So I have some videos for people that have a more advanced or intermediate level. But of course, there's not going to be so many people that have that level. So if you make also videos that are more accessible to people who are just starting, who maybe don't know anything about the language, but they see the video and they're like, oh, wow, that's so similar to my own language. I want to learn. So I made a video about colors that was really successful because it's very easy. Of course, that's not all I do. I have videos that are much more in depth into like informal Italian or grammar or things you learn further in your journey. But the one that is very easy is accessible to everyone. So no one feels excluded. Everyone feels like they're learning something and they don't feel like it's too difficult. So I think also dividing the content in your week. Now I have like a plan. So I have something maybe easy on Monday, then intermediate on Tuesday, then advanced on Wednesday. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, it's interesting also to understand the platform that you kind of where you use to build this community and how this platform works and what type of content you should post. I've noticed a lot that you are doubling down, or you're focused a lot on the reels, because obviously reels work really well, and then you got one that got a lot of went viral. I would say 2 million and something and a half views. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
But obviously that reel was not just once in a while, but was a result of a lot of previous work.
Right.
Would you say that would you give this advice to teachers to focus on a specific type of content, or should they mix and match, or should they see what their audience, what would be technically speaking like addressing in this case Instagram platform to grow their audience, to grow the base of followers? uh,
Right. I think we have to think of the algorithm. It changes a lot. So what was working for me a month ago is not working anymore. So I think first of all you have to be very flexible. That's something also not super easy for me. I had an idea of like this is the content that works, and then it started not working anymore. So I thought, okay, now I have to think differently, and it's not always
what is that
easy.
content? Curious.
Posts, for example, now they're giving so much more space to videos. So at the beginning, I was making vocabulary posts and explanations of like grammar, but it was written in a post, so image. Now video is so much more important. It reaches so many more people. So if I publish an image, it doesn't reach many non-followers. But if I publish a video, I see that new people are coming, but this wasn't happening a month ago. So I feel like you really have to look into your statistics and see what's working and be always ready to change, be always ready to see what is working now, maybe read also about it, because the algorithm changes, but also depends a lot on the country. So if you see that it's not working anymore, be ready to find something different, try experiment with something new.
Right. In terms of also the frequency that you post, how do you balance like the number of posts you publishing, and how many do you publish, by the way, with balancing this with chasing the algorithm? Because most of the time for many teachers, they don't only have to create content, they also have to think about how to market their digital products, in this case their courses, find students, convert the students into paying customers. So if you're a language entrepreneur, it's not that you have to do only content and social media, you have to do other stuff to run a language business. How do you balance that, running after the algorithm, let's say, with creating content and publishing, having a schedule? Can you talk more about that?
Sure. I try now to take one day just to do the content. I think it's very important because at the beginning I wasn't so organized. So maybe I had new students, I had more classes, and then I couldn't create enough content. Maybe I was posting one day and then the next I wasn't. So now I'm really trying to have a theme for every day. So I don't know, I do pronunciation on Monday, and then I do vocabulary on Tuesday, I do grammar on Wednesday, and so on. So on Monday, I just prepare everything, I script everything, I film everything, and then I have everything ready for the week. I think that's what's working for me now, to like divide your week also on what you have to do. Maybe you take 3 hours to just create the content, and then it's ready for the whole week. Or if I have time in one week, maybe I can create content for 2 weeks. So then the next week I can focus on something different, or I can work more on my classes and preparing new contents for my classes.
Yeah, that's totally interesting. All right, so let's talk a little bit where the reason why obviously we reached out to you. We launched this program to help you, obviously, you and other many teachers that we work with, to launch their and grow their language business online. And what is still the experience, and how would you describe the program itself to other teachers, maybe who are going to watch this live, in your own words? And what is the experience for you joining this program? Would you, if you'd like to share?
Sorry. Yeah. Well, the platform of Edugo is very much focused on teaching languages. So that's something that I think you cannot really find somewhere else, because there's a lot of platforms to create courses, but they're very generic. And in this one, you can really just, for example, we will see it together later, but you can upload a video or an audio or just a sentence, and it's artificial intelligence that analyzes it and creates exercises. So of course, maybe you have to tweak it a little bit. Maybe you can add another exercise. It's not that you cannot edit that, but it's already done. So it takes away a lot of that time that you would maybe put into taking parts of the video or like writing some subtitles. That's already done by the platform. And it's also, for example, I teach to people that speak Spanish as their first language. So Giorgio and the developers made it so that I can do it in Spanish. The platform is in Spanish. So it's very useful because it already translates the words. It gives you like all the meanings. If you write a sentence, it gives you the translation of the sentence. So it's a good experience if you're a language teacher, because it's much more geared towards your own job, you know. So all the time you would have to spend into thinking how to make it work for language teaching, you don't have to do that. It's already done. Of course, as Giorgio was saying, you need a lot of time to do this kind of stuff. So the fact that already this helps is great. You don't need to think about a lot of things that maybe you would have to think in a different context.
Yeah, I mean, there are many teachers who kind of like step into this entrepreneurial journey and running their own language business. They came to realization that if they want to do that, you have to wear different hats. The one where you teach, the one where you build your products. So if you want to transition from selling your time to monetizing your knowledge, there's other things that you have to do on top of just teaching. And doing those things takes a lot of time. Like creating content, creating lessons, creating a course in itself takes a lot of time. And what we try to do is, to some level and some degree, help them to automate a lot of those tasks. Um, some of the benefits for the students, let's say, if you design, because obviously you designed already a course that you used in the past, what are the benefits maybe for the students, because that's some of the teacher, but what are the one for the students, if you want to share more about that?
Sure, I can talk mostly about my own market, but I really like the fact that you can create courses and they're there. So people can just access them whenever they have time, whenever they want. And in my market, that's very important because a lot of my students work a lot and maybe they are in a different time zone, even though it's the same continent. It's so big that they are in a time zone in which I cannot give them a class at the time they need. Maybe it's too late for me or for them. So this way, they already have the course there. But also, you know, you might think there's no interaction, but that's not true because you can already put like live classes if you want. So maybe they can follow a course that it's pre-recorded, it's asynchronous, but then you have some synchronous items like some live classes, some live group classes, or for example, now there's a lot of gamification, which is great because sometimes you don't have the feedback, right? If you do something on your own, you don't get motivated because you don't see any progress, you don't see like where you're at, you're like you feel stuck. But there's an element now that allows you to see how many points you scored. So for every exercise or every video you watch of the course, you get some points and you can see where you are in like a ranking. Of course, it's not a competition, but it makes you kind of motivated, you know, to see like, oh wow, this week I am third, so I worked a lot and there's like 1,000 students and I'm third. That's excellent, I'm gonna keep doing it. So you kind of have this motivation that you wouldn't really get otherwise. So you still get the interaction, but you can do it at your own time and you don't have the pressure of having the class at a certain scheduled time every day.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that we want to provide when a teacher is creating a content-based course, a tool to make the course more engaging, but also to create some dynamics of competitiveness among the students who are enrolled in that course, so they can have this leaderboard and know, okay, by integrating these gamification elements, they know, okay, I'm the first one today. Every 24 hours, the leaderboard updates every 24 hours, every 7 days, and so on and so forth. So this kind of like creates this competition among the students. What does it mean? Mean that there is more engagement and also retention and also completion, higher completion rate of the students. So that was uh, one of the elements that we wanted to develop to increase this key metrics for a course completion rate and other elements. All right, let's switch a little bit the gears and let's go to stage what we call teacher in action. And what I like you to maybe to show instead of just us talking and saying about what is our experience, also show what is the process like for you in this case, creating like a short lesson as an example that you would usually do with your students. So if you don't mind to share the screen and walk us through the process, what is it like
Sure,
for you to create a Italian lesson for Spanish speakers, native
for sure.
speakers?
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Um,
Okay, in the meantime,
Now you
if you
can
have
see
any
it.
questions, feel free to type the questions in the chat, and then we will address in our Q&A session.
Okay, I think you can see it now, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I would just, I mean, as you can see, some of the buttons are in Spanish because of what I was mentioning earlier. So I would just go here to create a new lesson. And you have different options. So you can just put a video, a long video. As I was saying, it kind of analyzes the content of what you put. So you can choose whatever content you have. Now I think I'm gonna do an audio if I'm correct, but I use
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
video feature a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Let's use the audio one. Let's see. It's very easy. It's going to be.
So you can put a thumbnail. Now I think we're not gonna do it, but you can just put a thumbnail here for your class, and then a title. I'm just gonna put Corso di Italiano. You can also put a description and a PDF. This is a feature I use a lot for my students. So I can put a PDF with some in-depth explanation, maybe some transcript of what I say in the video if I use a video. Then I just go on the next. And here we are doing the audio, so I can add some sentences that are gonna get analyzed by the system. So I'm just gonna record them. Ciao, come ti chiami? Now it's gonna upload. Perfect. And I'm gonna put another one. Mi chiamo Martina. Okay, and just the third one, so it's a bit more complete, and then we go to the next step. Sono una professoressa. Okay, so I think you can all see here I have the sentence that I said already with the punctuation and everything, and the translation, it was automatic. I didn't have to do anything, just the translation comes up at the bottom. So I would just go to the next. And here you can see there's all the keywords. It's in Spanish again. Of course, you have the translation for each one, so you can choose which ones you want the students to see. I'm just gonna put all of them. And already you have the exercises. So for example, you have so many different kinds of exercises. I think this is also the great feature of this platform. It's for language learning and teaching. So you have exercises that are really for that. Maybe you wouldn't need in different contexts. So you have like a listening exercise. You can listen to the word here.
Ciao.
And you can also listen to it slow.
Ciao.
And then you would just choose the right option. So it's this one. And like these are the listening ones. There's a lot of them right now, but then you can also have ones in which you have to write or find the right translation. You have speaking exercises, so it's really complete. You really work like the 4 abilities of language learning. I'm just gonna go to the bottom. You see it generates a lot of exercises, and you're done. So it was really easy. This is the lesson ready. So here are the exercises. You can see they're like divided in different categories, and this is how the student is gonna see it. So you can just click here and your lesson is ready. You can find it here.
Okay, so let's pretend I'm the student, and do you mind sharing this lesson with me?
Sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna Copy. Can I stop sharing? And
Yeah, I already stopped sharing. Okay.
okay, awesome. Perfect.
All right. So what I'm gonna do, pretend I'm a Italian a student who wants to learn Italian. So you obviously share this lesson with me on WeChat, whatever social media tool, communication tool we can have.
Sure.
And where do you want to share it?
I did in the chat, but I can also do it on WhatsApp.
Yes, I don't see it in the chat. If you can share in the WhatsApp, will be great. Okay. Okay, so I am going to pretend to be your student and learning Italian, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Ok, schermo, Chrome tab. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is the lesson link that I obviously received from you, and I have this landing page of the lesson itself. I just press start, and obviously I have right away the exercises that you have created in just a few minutes, or not, if not seconds. So I'm gonna start with the vocabulary. As I can see, I think it was ciao, come. Let's see if it's correct. Okay, okay, so it should be come. Okay, and then different uh, kind of exercises that the system. Obviously, in this case, it's uh, Martina, but it should okay. It should show different kind of option, and so on and so forth. So students can basically engage and do those exercises. So this is the vocabulary. I can do the audio based.
Ciao.
Okay.
Come?
And I'm just practicing collecting points and so on and so forth. Then I just go the other one, hablar.
Ciao, come ti chiami?
Okay, so I can hear the native speaker and I can do some speaking exercise. Ciao, come ti chiami? Obviously, my Italian is pretty okay. So the system tells me, hey, good job. If I have 5 in a row, keep going. I can release it myself and I just can keep going and practice another sentence.
Mi chiamo Martina.
Obviously, in that case, will be my name, but you get the point. Here is some Spanish. Hola, alto. So I have to write in Italian. What is the maybe ciao? I think. Let's see. Yes, correct. Okay, come is like como, I guess. So the system gives me different type of exercises to practice with. So I'm going to the end. Obviously, once I finish this lesson, I can press or have an overview of the different type of how many points I collected by doing this exercise, this lesson, bonus points, minutes I've spent doing this. I can see the right one I did and the wrong one I did, and so on and so forth. I press finalizar, then this is congrats, and I press prossima lezione. And if I want to continue, obviously I have to create an account within Martina's platform, so Martina acquires me as a student. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and that was more or less the experience as a student. Martina, do you have any other thoughts about this, or maybe we can jump to the Q&A session if anybody has any questions? In the meantime, please do feel free to share your questions in the chat or wherever you're watching. If you're watching this live, if don't, feel free to join, to reach out to us if you're interested to be part of our brand ambassador program to launch and grow your language business, or if you are a Spanish native speaker who wants to learn Italian, reach out to Martina and follow her on social media, or if you want to follow Edugo on social media such as Instagram or LinkedIn, feel free to do that. So let's see if somebody has a question. Uh, okay, but before going to the questions section, Martina, do you have any conclusion thoughts or questions?
Well, I think we touch on every point. Just if there's any questions, and I think also they can find on your platform the link to the brand ambassador program, so they can see more in depth what it's like. I think I said a little bit, but I think it's much better if they read it and have like they had a taste of what the platform is like. So it's really good if you teach languages to have this helping you.
Okay, so we have a question from Mercedes. Hello, Mercedes. I think Mercedes is teaching Spanish to, if I'm not wrong, is teaching Spanish uh, to in Hong Kong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mercedes. And she's asking if translation is not accurate after recording the sentence, can we edit the translation? Thanks. Okay, this is a technical question. I guess it's more for me. So the answer is yes, you can edit the sentence and the translation of the sentence itself if it's not accurate. Can you confirm that, Martina, is your experience that you had this need to improve the translation in case it was not accurate?
Yeah, I think we could see in the exercises some words were not really the right translation because the platform gives you a lot of translations. So because we don't have so much time, like we just did it quickly, but we could delete the word that does not correspond to what we're looking for and just leave the other translations. You can definitely do that.
Yeah, so Martina said yes, teaching Spanish to Chinese learners. Yeah, Mercedes, I hope we replied to your question. If you have any question, or whoever is watching, you have now any other questions, please do ask us. If you don't have any questions, I think we can conclude this live. And my ask from our side is, if you're a language teacher, you want to launch and grow your language business, do not hesitate to join, to reach out at, I'm gonna share with you the link where you can find more information about our brand ambassador program. Okay, so I'm gonna share in the link. Whereas for Martina, do you have any closing thoughts before we conclude this live session?
No, just thank you very much for your time, for being with us. And of course, you know where to find us if you have any questions.
Thank you very much again, Martina. It was great to have you on, and thank you again for sharing your experience.
Thanks to you, Giorgio. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.